my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I'm not the mistakes that I have made or any other things that cause me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am light. 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 Hey, yeah. I am light. I am light. I am not the color of my eyes. I am not the skin on the outside. I am not my age. I am not my race. My soul inside is all light. All light. All light. Yeah. All light. I am light. I am light. I am light. I am light. Yeah. I am divinity defined. I am the God on the inside. I am a star, a piece of it all. I am light.
I am light. You are light. We are light. We're also shadows at sometimes, but you can't see the light without having the shadow or sometimes the absolute dark. And you are the lamp that shines into the darkness, and I honor you for coming this morning. I welcome you into this space. If this is your first time, I want to introduce myself to you. I am LaTanya Taylor, affectionately known as the Rev Coach, the Juicy Spirit Mama, the Priestess of Purpose, Pleasure, and Passion. And today we won't be long, but we always try to be strong in here, in our focus and in our clarity and all of what we bring together when women join together. And we have been studying the law of attraction, which is a popular one. It's a popular tenet because people are always focused on what they want to attract. And today is no different. We are going to focus on what we want to attract. And I would like someone who has a birthday this month to choose a number for us between 1 and 25, because we still are going to play with the law of attraction experientially and open the space for anyone that has it. I'm going to open the call up really quick. This is not normally how we flow, but that is exactly what we do in this space is flow. And so I want to open up and see who has a birthday this month.
Me.
Okay, who's me?
Lisa. My birthday is tomorrow, the 22nd.
All right, Lisa. Wow. Can you choose a number between 1 and 25? 22.
My son's birthday is tomorrow as well.
Oh, wow. Look at that. I'm a 2 as well. Those are master numbers. So that's what we're going to work with this morning. So I'm going to put the call back on mute really quickly. Clearly, you all can hear me, so we're going to proceed. The law of attraction is a funny one because sometimes when things are popular, it is interesting that it can be commercialized really, really easy in this world, when it comes to something that works. When someone says, oh, my God, this works for me, I often look on the shelves and I see, how health secrets, Dr. Oz can talk about a health secret and it literally can sell out the next day, sell out the shelves. It could be something as simple as coconut oil or, olive oil. And then, you get excited and you switch these things over because they said that this works. They said that this helps you to lose weight. They said that the other thing is played out. And what's so interesting about the universal laws is they are ancient. They are always here. They've been discovered and put into words by modern man, but ancient people have always operated in law. And actually what I have since learned when I first started studying, we tend to learn these 12 that we're walking through, but then there are more beyond that. In fact, there are hundreds of laws that govern the universe. Some laws are not even activated until you practice one type of energy in order to access the other. I want to say that again because a lot of times it's easy to stop. You study something and you stop right there and you're like, this is it. And we don't typically do, especially when we have done religion most of our lives. We study something and we say, this is it. Well, this is working for me. But yet we still say that it's so interesting. Isn't it an interesting dynamic, right? We say we want to manifest these big things, some of us, right? Unless you've gotten comfortable in your life and you're not looking to do that. Whether it could be anything from a new job to a new boo, or, world travel, or having a yacht and living in Dubai. I mean, it can be as small or as big as you want. Isn't it ironic, though? We use the same body of information sometimes over and over and over again. We've been taught, many of us, to go to the same church, the same pastor, the same body of information, and wonder why our lives aren't working until and unless you are that person who asks the question, what is really going on here? And so today what I want to offer to you is a little just a little teaching on the unconscious part of attraction, because oftentimes when you have done a little bit of your work, if you've ever gone to a therapist, the first thing you notice about yourself is whatever change or shift in awareness that you have about yourself and your life. And sometimes if you stay with it, you'll have many more. Those of you who work with me, you know that we dive even deeper than that. But let's just say you never work with me. Well, I know that's hard to say for many of you who come to this space because you have done some type of work with Rebirth International in programs in some way. But just think about yourself before you took anything, before you came into proximity to anything. Did you ever stop to think why you have had the experiences you've had in love, in sex, in money? Like literally, how did this? The Bible talks about coming near my dwelling, coming nigh my dwelling. How did this come close to me? How did this show up in my family? Why, I was coaching with a client who's bold enough to look at her relationship pattern and attraction pattern, and she discovered that she came from a series, just like having a comic series or a television series. She came from a series of molesters. And she couldn't imagine why, right? And of course, until you ask that question, especially when you're doing your work, even when it's something in your life that you don't want, like, how did my abusive person get here? How did that show up in my family? And certainly when something shows up over and over again, how is it that I attracted this kind of love on 5, 10, 20 years ago, but now I'm attracting this? What's going on? Because the universal law is always working, not just when you get positive, when you decide I'm going to be positive. The law is always working, and not just the law of attraction. There is grace in all of the law, because if we attracted everything we thought about ourselves or even other people, some folks will be off with your head. So there's grace that every thought does not just manifest just quickly. But when I talked about feeling the secret of the law when we first introduced the law of attraction, and I talked about feelingization. And so sometimes you can be going about your life and you feel like, well, I am a positive person. I do good. I do right by people. I get up. I go to work every day. I do what I'm supposed to do. I take care of my responsibilities, whether it be your children or your bills, or whether it be your dogs or you be a family member. And you wonder, well, why do people tend to cross boundaries with me? Why do people take advantage of me? Or sometimes your life can be going very well, and you're like, but how did I get this? How did I didn't ask for this. A lot of people, it's so funny to see some of the congratulation messages when Yama announced that I would be on her coaching team. There were some people who said, I see this is perfect, and, finally you and your mom, y'all working together, and especially if you were part of the community. Some people said, yeah, your vision is coming to pass. You worked hard for this. And the funny thing is, I'd never really put a big intention out there, anything to be on television, except maybe on my vision board. Everybody who's in this type of industry tends to think, well, one day maybe Oprah will interview me or something like that. Who knew that I would be able to look back and say I worked for two of the most powerful. Of course, I worship with my mentor. I work in private settings and workshops and a lot of other different things. But to say I work with two of the most powerful black women in history in my lifetime, I never put that specifically on my vision board. I didn't. It came as a surprise for me, because there's a certain point, especially for your feminine, where you, in the law of attraction, you can put out, you can envision what you want, you can ask for what you want. That's the key in the law of attraction is knowing what you desire, but then having the will to ask the universe what it is that you want, even in prayer. And this is why even when we come into the call and I ask you, what are your prayer requests, or, what is it that what was your aha? Because sometimes asking doesn't always look like a request, but it can look like an energy shift that you need to sometimes acknowledge and speak out loud, because it raises your vibration so that you can attract more of it. Oh, there is a science to it. But then after you've done all of that, there is the allowing. So that's that part. But what happens when these question marks show up on the other side when it comes to the law of attraction? A lot of times when you start to, quote unquote, get positive, get clear about who you are, not attached to the pain body of our experience, no longer defining ourselves by the wound, no longer tolerating certain behaviors even from ourselves. What happens when unpleasant situations show up, or just suddenly, right? You want to know, like, how did I attract this? A lot of times, why is this happening? And one of the things that I have learned is sometimes the answer does not come as soon as you ask. Sometimes who we are, what we've said, what we've done, what we're connected to, because and I'm going to talk about sin, and we're talking about just missing the mark, but not sin consciousness where anyone has to feel bad. This is not when I quote this, but there's an energetic power in this scripture that says the sins of the father fall on the children. And so sometimes when you are the one who stands up for your sacred yes, you are the difference in your line. You are the one who is asking the questions for yourself first oftentimes, or for your life first oftentimes. Sometimes it's something you see your children going through. Because think about this. If you're raising your children based off what you don't want them to experience, now that you know the law of attraction is what you focus your attention on grows, meaning that if you're saying, I don't want them to experience this and this and this, a lot of times you are attracting this and this and this, because your attention is focused and motivated by what you don't want. And so you will attract more of it, even when it comes to dating, even when it comes to work, because when you focus on what you don't want, you will attract more of it. Now, there are some people, some teachers, some folks who get evolved and say, well, I don't believe in the law of attraction. I don't believe that we attract that if I attracted this kind of mate, that's their stuff. That's not my stuff. Now, there's a part of the law of attraction where sometimes we're unaware that we are the lesson, we are the healer, we are the instrument in the equation. Not always are we the ones receiving the lesson. We play another role, and sometimes you have to raise your own vibration to say, okay, once again, why is this coming now, my dwelling? There's a place beyond just the law of attraction where you begin to learn that I create my own reality. I really do. And some things, some of my thoughts, some of my feelings, some of my bloodline connections, some of those things are set into motion long before you even came here. Some of it is your destiny. But when the unconscious, when what is showing up, a lot of times it's unconscious. I'll give you an example, be real transparent with you. Before I started doing work on the feminine, my feminine, working and teaching it, I mean, really sold out to, I know what I'm here for. I thought I knew what I was already here for because I had said yes to ministry with some resistance and some reluctance, I might add. And what you resist will persist. And I noticed in some of my female friendships, there was a point where, you know how you become aware now when you look at someone, you look and you're aware, I mean really spiritually aware. You can see beyond when hurt people, right? And sometimes there's this tendency to make it tolerated because you know you love them or whatever. You're like, well, or you hope for something better. And some of my female relationships I had, because I was so sold out for sisterhood, there's certain things I wouldn't accept, that a woman would say, would do, would stay in or whatever to me or to anyone else. And sometimes I would see things and my feelings would be hurt, but I would always take the high road a lot of times. Sometimes I would have a meltdown or a blow up, and it could get ugly or whatever. And if we got through it, I'd be like, okay, well, we got through that. That was a value of mine. If we can have a upset and get through it, I knew we had a good friendship. But then there was other things when my spiritual eyes became open. Sometimes you're surrounded by people who won't celebrate you. They know who you are. You've heard them acknowledge and talk about that. They won't celebrate you, or they start to change and shift with you when especially those of you who are juicy butterflies. I want to tell you that you'll be surprised that sometimes when women are not exposed to pleasure and fun and being happy, bitter women can be very poisonous to even be around. And so I started to see that and try to lift it up, hold space, do what I felt was something that, you do in love and light. And I'm talking years of doing it. And then when I couldn't shake the hurt, the feeling, the need for their acknowledgement, or just not ignoring it anymore, instead of focusing on them, I focused on how did this come nigh my dwelling, and why does it keep showing up here or there? What is this about? And I stayed with that question. I stayed with the question when there were parts of me that wanted to go tell them off or read them or cut them off, because we're good now at this thing called blocking them and unfriending them and things like that. Every time my flesh wanted to do that, I would dive into, but why do you even need it? Why are you feeling this? Where is this coming from? And I was able to get to source. I was able to rebirth myself. And I had unconsciously attracted something into my life because I was unconscious of how another belief, another wound, another even love, a desire to love and be loved, to love, be loved, and be loved, that even that had some attachments that was attached to even my feminine. Now, let me say this. You can do this with your masculine. You can do this with your money. And sometimes we do have to have a coach. And I did. I did have my own coach, my own support that helped me, point me. Just like the GPS, you put on the GPS, sometimes you kind of know what direction to go in, but you don't want to get lost. Oh, thank you, Holy Spirit. Sometimes we know the general direction to go in, but the GPS becomes our coach so that you don't have to spend as much time looking for the address that you are seeking to arrive to. Oh, God, that somebody ought to write that down. Somebody ought to get that. Spiritually, we have people who are assigned to us that are like the assistants from the GPS. And at a certain point of elevation of your consciousness, you get assigned people who take you even higher than you could imagine in your consciousness so that you can begin to turn on your own GPS. And as painful as the realization was, there was some freedom on the other side that I didn't know in being unattached, letting people go. Because in my mind, because I had a deeper abandonment issue and that type of thing, before, not now, I didn't easily just let people go. I didn't give up on people. Because there was a part of my little girl self that didn't want people giving up on me or labeling me. So I didn't give up easily on people. And then there was a phase in my life where I cut them. I would cut them. I was the queen. I'm done with that. If it's not positive, if it's not this, then I'm done moving. But somewhere in this journey of creating your own reality, you get to move in and out of the yin and the yang of your own self, your own soul. There will be times where you're going to need the power to cut, to detach, to do whatever. But then there will be times when you will need patience. Sometimes you don't know which one until you look at what you're attracting and you say this, even if it's just an unseen emotion or thought that nobody knows about but you. Spiritual discipline is required in order to attract, but not discipline in the way that we may have known it through control and based on just behavior. It is govern thyself accordingly to energy and behavior. They must match. There's an action. There's something that we set out. I even looked in my family and started to notice when I looked at my assignment, and now I when I first came out and started doing this work. First of all, there was this ministry aspect of it, but then there was specifically this freedom thing that this always has been there. But it wasn't, again, until I walked the path unfold as I walked it. Sometimes we're used to trying to put things in place with these formulas, and it's when you get attached to the formulas when you need to be able to let it go. I say that again for somebody. Even in sisterhood, if you are attaching to people because you feel like, I don't have enough women in my life, you are still making an unconscious agreement based on your lack and not on your fullness. Same thing with a relationship. When a person meets you, do they meet you in need or do they meet you in wholeness? Because the relationships will always be unbalanced. And sometimes you can grow in the meeting from the time of the meeting into it, but sometimes it takes a lot of work if you're used to being codependent unconsciously. And so oftentimes people don't talk about these parts of the law. You can go on Google right now and just Google law of attraction, and you're going to see a lot of the same things repeated over and over again. What you focus on grows. What you resist persists. Those general things. But this is exactly why we have what we have in community. Why do we even need to go to church or a mosque? And then when you get free in yourself and you start to develop a relationship and not just a religious have to or obligation, a religious obligation, the first thing you do is oftentimes you detach from the idea that you're going to be punished, the belief that if I don't go to church that I'm going to be punished. It is because we come to gathering spaces like this and we do our work, especially when you begin to elevate beyond just the religious mindset, because we need constant reminders, lest we return to the thing that our consciousness has known the most or the part of the unknown in your consciousness. It's repetition is the mother of mastery. And so when you put yourself in proximity to consciousness, that which is unconscious becomes more known. So sometimes, yes, by association, you attract better, higher, greater, more whole. The same is true on the other end. Do we really even need these gatherings? Sure, there is a space and a time where we didn't have to have this, but we still had them anyway. Women and families came together to raise their energy, to call on, to speak to the weather. Come on now. To give thanks and praise to the crops. There was a relationship with the earth, with nature. And many places that are where the indigenous live today, they still do that. You don't cut a tree. You don't do anything without acknowledging that it's a living organism. You are a living organism. And we are not beyond codependence, there is interdependence. And interdependence is not an unhealthy thing, even in relationships. Many of us have been, I know I was, taught the codependent relationship model. He that findeth a wife finds a good thing. And the man is the this and that. I mean, all of these roles and things that we really get attached to. And then life happens. And then we have to adjust. And then so I think it is very, very important this morning that even as we talk in the middle of this space of the law of attraction, each and every one of you know that there's something that you've been asking for, even if you haven't said it out of your mouth, but the desire is there for a particular thing. The beginning of a thing, the ending of a thing. The elevation of some certain things and the decrease in inflammation in another thing. Forgiveness. Some of us are seeking forgiveness, wanting forgiveness, but sometimes we also need to give it. Or vice versa. We feel like there's someone that should apologize to us, and maybe that apology will never come, or explanation. And then what? What kind of cords do you have attached to those outcomes? Because this is an opportunity for us to really look at what it is that's showing up beyond just what you're asking for. What is there? What's there now? What's been there over and over again? Not to feel bad, but to rise to the occasion, to become the vibrational match for what it is that you are not only saying you desire, but what you deserve based off of what you may not even know that you deserve sometimes, but even the more beyond what you think you deserve. Some of us are only looking to attract enough money to pay our bills. But what about the lifestyle? There's a point beyond survival and just paying your bills. There's a lifestyle. What is the lifestyle you desire? Not based off of what you just see someone else having, but what makes you really happy and light and turned on, and what makes you perform at your highest level and good. You know, for me, I know it's not being in the city. I don't like the city. So the lifestyle for me, I look at it, I feel better. I operate better in open spaces and nature. Little things like that matter. And every year that I would stay in D.C. for a job or for this or for that, and Spirit had told me my time was up. The cold started to just hurt my bones, my body, and change my disposition. I knew. You know there's a knowingness on this call in this space today, that there is something that you keep on trying to just do with the level of consciousness you have, and there is a call inside to ask you to level up. Sometimes you can't do that. You need a lift. This call is a lift. It's a hand up. The work that we do privately in coaching, the work that we do in even group processes, the rituals, the gatherings, all of this, even the casual conversations. Guard your mouth. When you find yourself wanting to gossip and become critical, guard it. Because are you willing to say what you have to say to the person who can do something about it? Think about that in relationships. Am I saying what I need to say to the person who can do something? Otherwise, it's just complaining, nagging, begging, pleading, or backbiting and gossip. Sometimes we need courage to do that. And when you don't have it, you get to look at cowardice. When you are living in places that you don't want to live, but you're waiting 10 years from now to make a shift or make some type of move. Why? Why do you believe that? And who would you be if you didn't believe what you have believed? And so I want to open up the space for what you may have heard. We started off asking for a rhema from within the space, and we got really in the money. And I just want to offer, when I say on the money, right in the pocket of where we want to be. So I want to look and see what Spirit says. This is my first sight at looking to see if I'm on target in alignment. And the principle that you pulled, Lisa, is hope for us as a group. Hope. Hope is a light that never fails, a flame burning in the darkest night, an exclusive feeling that urges you on when against all reason you refuse to give up. Hope is among the most abiding of God's gifts. It has been said that in each life there comes at least one moment which, if recognized and seized, transforms the course of that life forever. Have there been special moments when hope came to you? What brought hope into your life? Was it your desire for a quiet, grounded, more centered existence? Was it your yearning for a better future and a peaceful world? Or was it your broken heart? Whatever the reason, once it returns, hope restores our optimism that tomorrow can mark a new beginning. So what will bring you hope this day? If you are concerned about something, health or illness, it is opportunity to acquire wisdom born of that adversity. Embrace the opportunity. Bind it with your faith. With hope, we learn to keep on living our lives courageously and diligently. If we pull this room to you, if you're entering, into a new relationship, if your life is moving in a new direction, let yourself feel the hope instead of the fear, y'all. Because sometimes we attract what we want and then we get afraid about losing it. Hope is a companion on our journey, one that whispers in your ear, it's going to be better. Rather than collapse yourself into the thoughts of the future, stay present, for considerable hard work is involved in the time of healing and transformation. Hope is God's love at work in our lives. So, yes, I definitely see the alignment and the synergy in that. So I'm taking everyone off mute. Again, if this is your first time here, oftentimes we go into spaces and we only are, if you're, okay, I'm going to have to put somebody else. Someone has a whole gospel song going on, so I'm going to put you back on mute. 517-510. If you can mute your phone, I'll come back if you want to speak. If your phone is on, when you come onto the line, just go on and mute your phone. Okay, so I'm unmuting everyone. So go on and put your physical phone, especially if you have music and TVs and all of that on in your background. Thank you, everyone. Your phone is unmuted. Anyone want to share any you heard of something you heard this morning that was just helpful to you? And you're invited to be so bold to just speak what it is. Ask for what you desire.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Go right ahead.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. Somebody was talking. Go ahead.
Well, good morning. This was Kathy. I had started and then I heard Lisa, so I was opening the space for her, but I'll go ahead. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Rev Coach Tanya.
Good morning, my love.
Good morning. Oh, man, you said a lot, but what made my belly jump this morning is when you were talking about how you enter into relationships, needy, and how it shows up and plays out even subconsciously. And I can see now how I had been doing that all my life without realizing it. And I couldn't understand for the life of me why I was not having the type of response from the relationships that I was trying to form, especially when it came to sisterhood. And it wasn't until I discovered that my own need for sisterhood and family and brother and connection and all of that ran so deep that every relationship that I was entering into, I was looking for my mother and my brother and my sister. And so I would enter in relationships expecting and trying to make people fill these roles for me, not conscious of it. And so I couldn't hear, even you, when you used to tell me, we used to bump heads all the time because I was always wanting you to be something to me that I needed, and you would be saying, I have no interest in doing that. That's not my role. That's not my place. That's not my job, and I would look at it as mean, and I thought people were mean. I was, they're so mean. They're so mean, and somebody would just help me, and all I need is help, and, all this stuff. And then I finally I realized, looking back, that the help came in me pulling myself. I didn't need somebody to come help me. I just needed to know how to open my mouth and ask for the help that I needed and then pull myself. That's where the help came from. I need a sister, but you can't fill the role of being my sister. And so it's actually unfair and selfish of me to put those kind of emotional demands on people, and then I'm all messed up because you're not showing up the way that I need you to show up and the way I think you should be showing up. And so just getting clarity on that, man, has just been, oh, Lord. It's just made life so light, just so light and freeing, that now I can enter into relationships and people can just be who they are. I don't have any prerequisites or demands or expectations that you have to show up for me a certain kind of way. You have to be this in my life in order for me to feel like you love me or I feel safe or you care about me, So it's just such a refreshing space to be in, And I've been really studying and working myself in this universal laws and cosmic laws, and as we're dealing with this law of attraction, and I just have found myself in this space where I'm just really getting so connected to the Kathy, to the place where I can feel my own pH shifting. I know when something is off, and I just being able to get in that quiet place and hear what Spirit is saying to me, but not only that, to trust it enough now to begin to act on it when I hear it, and not waiting anymore, saying, I'm going to do it later, or I'll get to it then. And I'm starting to benefit and see the response, begin to pour into my life from just hearing and responding, when the call comes. So I don't know. I don't want to babble on, but that's what I heard this morning, and that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you so much for sharing your personal experience so transparently. I know that that's the freedom that you're experiencing. So thank you so much for sharing that into this space. Anyone else? At least was Lisa trying to share?
Yes,
There.
here.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me go inside, walking the dog, listening. Thank you for that share. I had another aha moment as you were sharing as well. I didn't catch your name, but thank you for that. Good morning, everybody. So, a couple of things, particularly codependent and interdependent, and I often say that, understanding the difference, but not really seeing it in my life. I tend to attract people who are very codependent of me, and puts me in a sort of mother take care role. And I do it in relationships. I do it at work with my son. And then I'm almost resentful of it afterwards. And so I'm going to really pray about and read and be intentional about learning to be interdependent, because if I'm attracting people who are codependent, then that's something, even though I say I don't want that, then that's what I'm attracting. So I need to learn to be interdependent and lead a relationship interdependently. I have a lot of sister friends, different groups, and I realize again, and the young lady who's just sharing that, in that relationship, I'm codependent of them, and that's not good. And we have a really good bond. It's a great group, and we really love each other. But I'm realizing just from this call today that I need to be more interdependent and not codependent upon those group of friends. They're older than me, and many of them are wiser than me, financially successful, and I'm also an outlier in terms of diversity. I'm the only black woman in the group. So some of them are like my big sisters, which is amazing, and it's just a great group of friends. But I need to stand and be a little bit more interdependent. That was a blessing for me. And the last blessing was the one of hope, because my body, I just feel like I'm getting sick, and I'm not taking care of myself because of my, codependent relationship I built at work, and I need to just take better care of myself, and I really needed to hear that message of hope this morning. It really helped me. It really blessed me. Thank you.
Give thanks. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I agree with Lisa as far as the reminder to focus on hope rather than fear. And I would definitely say that was a past pattern for me, because for me now, when something new is coming, especially being in rites of passage, I personally experience excitement because I know it's something better, And then the other point that I appreciated you saying was to it's okay to want to have enough to pay your bills, but what about the lifestyle? That's so big, because no one wants to just go through life just paying water, just paying pain, whatever. So definitely, I appreciated you saying that, especially coming from a very indoctrinated background where they reinforce about, the love of money and what's praised is living a martyr lifestyle and giving away all your belongings to serve, whoever. So, that was a good point about it's okay to focus on the lifestyle that you want.
Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely. We don't talk about lifestyle a lot of times in communities that have a history of struggle. But we didn't always have a history of struggle. We didn't always have that, and so when we start to look at some of the decisions we make and the things that we worry about, a lot of times it's not our worry. It's what we saw Big Mama and them worrying about, because that they set the standard. And there is, and a lot of times because we haven't come from families of wealth, or we really did actually come from families of wealth. Let me take that back. But maybe because it has been so far back in the line that a lot of times we only know what we've seen or what our mother's seen and what their mother's seen, and so we think that sometimes is the standard. But we get to raise the bar. One of the things that I think people will do when we look at the fantasy of television, the mistake is looking at it as their life and not looking at it as whatever it is you desire for yourself. Or, even attracting. The television, what we watch on television, sometimes we have to be careful if we don't set intentions for what we're watching and why we're watching it too. I'm going to tell you something, and then I'm going to continue to open the line. I see more people coming in a little late, but that's okay. When reality television first came out, I confess I was hooked to The Real World. That was the beginning of reality television back in the day, The Real World. I remember the first Real World. Pretty much grew up with them people, and I would just look at it and say, Dad, I would look at where they came from, what their background, how they thought. Even then, I was a psychologist in my mind, just watching therapeutically, and also thinking about, because at that time I was living a very religious life, and I was like, now what if I had done that? So I was looking even at that and thinking about me, and then I was looking, and when they started to come out with the other things, I swore it off. I thought that love and hip hop was the worst thing that could ever happen to us as black women, because it sets this whole thing up about women fighting each other like they do, physically laying hands on. And because I wasn't exposed to that type of thing, it was just the bottom of the barrel to me. I even joined protests on social media, signed petitions, forgetting that I'm a metaphysician and what I focus on grows, because when you look at marketing, negative attention is also desired, because it brings more people who are attracted to it. And so I shifted and said, why are you resisting this so much? What is this? You could just not watch it, but why does it get you so much? So then I would look and say, I want to help them. I want to help us to know this and that. And so I started having conversations with my consciousness. Little did I know that I would be working in reality. And even when I said yes to being a coach, I'm doing production and things, my creative muscle, and I never knew that I would be so involved with something that I enjoy so much. So I say that to say that sometimes we have to take a chance on ourselves and on our desires as well. Anyone else before we close out?
Dana, I know I sound a little raspy this morning. I'm a little under the weather, but I just wanted to share this morning. Yeah, I know. And I'm traveling, so that makes it worse. But I just wanted everyone to know this morning that I had an experience yesterday that really kind of knocked me off my feet. It blew my mind. And all I could do was give thanks in the end. And I tried to go live in a space to kind of share it, but the video got so mangled and messed up, I had to delete it. And I could see how Spirit moved because it was meant for me to share here this morning. But yesterday, I'm at my parents' house, and yesterday I went through a process with my mother of clearing out a space. And it's a space that has just been cluttered and full and stale for a long time. And I knew it was going to be a challenge just to get started because I just wanted to work on at least one wall. And, oh, my gosh, my mother was just fighting me the entire time to clear the space. And the stuff that we cleared out to put a dent in it, I could feel the energy moving when we were clearing things out, and, you know, I would have to take a break and just catch myself and catch a breath and then come back. And finally, when I decided it's time to take some stuff to the thrift, I went to my car, I stepped out the door to go to my car, and when I walked out the door and looked across the street, what did I see but a flock of birds circling in the air. And I thought, okay, all right, this is the time where Spirit is helping me to move this. I'm breaking something here. And I know it was funny because all I could remember was in the beginning of my own process, I kept saying, I've got to declutter. I've got to get rid of stuff. I've got to move this. And I'm starting to see how that root energy, you know, can come back to you. You know, no matter how much you try to clear stuff out, if you don't get to the root source, back to you. So I'm giving thanks that I was able to come and do this and put my hands in it, because I know even in the future, even in me, in my generation, it's going to clear some things out. And my daughter was able to see. So I know, and even she got involved, and she was like, you know, sometimes I had to just release stuff. And I could see where even me, the firstborn, even me, can move mountains within a family. So I just give thanks today, and I wanted to share that.
Oh, wow. Yes, absolutely. It's so true. Yes. It reminds me of needing to go to my own mother's house soon. Really soon. So I didn't realize the hour, and it's so funny because I didn't think that I would have much to share too long today. I thought it would be probably 10 minutes, and we would get in and get out of here, and so we're really close to our time of prayer. So I just want us to clear our space and open our hearts and minds with a breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Mother, Father, God, Holy Spirit, all that is, we call forth our ancestors, our angels, our archangels, and our guide, knowing that we never walk alone. We thank you for the Most High that is operating in us sometimes when we're at our low. We thank you, Holy Spirit, for the light, that we are the salvation, that we are the living salvation, the living organism. We thank you that sometimes beyond our asking and our receiving, that there's a space of allowing and asking and again and opening to receive again and taking bold action and risk to live what we say we desire rather than complaining, nagging, and holding in place the issue that we are concerned about. I pray for the strength and the power and the courage for each and every woman to be the shift that they are seeking in their own lives. And sometimes that may require a constant shift, a constant returning to the space of I don't know what I don't know. I thank you for each and every woman who is representing that in their families, in their bloodline, to break patterns. And I know sometimes it gets weary, but I know that the word says, "Be not weary in well doing," especially for yourself. And so we thank you for those who are willing to be not weary in their journey with themselves, and that we can release ourselves from shoulds and have-tos and open ourselves to get-tos and opportunity-tos and revelation-to and elevation-to. And so I pray for this space this morning that we will level up and that we will continue to level up from the level that we're on, that the levels are here, that there are levels to this. And that even as we ascend, that our other lives will be better through our leveling up. And so I thank you this morning for the boldness, the courage, and for the mindfulness of each and every woman in this space. And I pray that each and every one of us will go forth and prosper, and that we will move out of our own way. And so we let it be so, and so it is. All right, everyone, please connect in Good Girls Gone Goddess. If you didn't get a chance to share, please share with anything that came up from you, because sometimes your share blesses another sister. And I do have some announcements and some things, hold space for us. We're going to have a few intense weeks, Fix My Life. And those of you in the rites of passage, I will definitely see you all on the other side. I'm spilling over with some more tools to share with you. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Have a good day, everyone.
Love you.